How can you say that? Kevin Conroy is Batman. Hey, welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is my assistant manager, Doug. Technically my boss. Recently, I rewatched The Amazing Spider-Man, and I was stunned to realize that this movie's not all that bad. In fact, most of the time, it's pretty good.
Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
But as I was watching it, something kept nagging me. There was just one little thing that this movie could have done to bring Spider-Man into a new, fun direction. I think a lot of us give this movie a hard time because it retells the Spider-Man origin, right down to Peter and Uncle Ben having a fight right before the big murder.
He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here.
This was not part of the comic book. But this movie is a real departure from the Raimi films. Visually, those movies were like a comic book brought to life, whereas this film is mostly set at night in the shadows. Spider-Man's mirrored lenses are so dark they blend in with the suit, which, by the way, looks like he's wearing a black hood all the time. It's not a very good aesthetic choice. Mary Jane was always cast as the damsel in distress. While Gwen Stacy is more intelligent than Peter.
I hope you've been doing your homework. Last time I was very disappointed.
And risked her life to make sure Oscorp was evacuated before the lizard showed up. The Raimi films were stocked with comedic actors.
Oh, that boy of yours is a real hero.
Even in small cameo roles.
Cool Spidey outfit. Thanks.
While Amazing Spider-Man's cast has a higher awards pedigree.
With the world so set on tearing itself apart, it doesn't seem like such a bad thing to me to want to put a little bit of it back together.
Aunt May and Uncle Ben are more three-dimensional, played by A-list, award-winning dramatic actors.
Will he ever know what she went through for him?
Have I displeased you, you feckless thug?
After Uncle Ben dies, Peter's scenes with Aunt May have this grieving, angry, grounded realism that could have come straight out of a dramatic film.
Where do you go? Who does this to you?
Please go to sleep, Aunt May.
Please tell me.
Aunt May, please, please, please go to sleep.
I can't sleep.
But also, these movies feature two very different Peters. Maguire was motivated by guilt, Garfield more by rage.
This could have gotten a lot worse.
Maguire was shy and nerdy, an outcast, whereas Garfield was more reserved and cuddly, an outsider. Garfield is already cool. He skates in the hallway, girls know his name, and he stands up to bullies. He's basically Marty McFly. Whereas Maguire lives in total fear of every aspect of high school life, and being Spider-Man helps him come out of his shell. Whereas Garfield didn't need to become Spider-Man to gain self-confidence. He was already doing okay. And Garfield's Peter Parker has a chip on his shoulder. His parents abandoned him. It's the first scene of the movie, a wound that's never healed.
Where's my dad? He didn't think it was his responsibility to be here to tell me this himself.
Oh, come on, how dare you?
How dare I? How dare you?
The trailers promised that this movie would deliver the untold story. And for the first half hour, it seems like we are getting a different Spider-Man story than we've seen before. Peter is obsessed with his parents, especially his father's work, which involves spiders, so maybe he was responsible for Peter getting his powers like Banner's dad in Ang Lee's Hulk. And Richard Parker worked at Oscorp along with the villain. Now this was all very promising and new. What did happen to Peter's parents? How does the lizard figure into all of this? We genuinely want to know. But then Uncle Ben dies and the movie grinds to a halt. In the Raimi films, it takes Peter less than 4 minutes of screen time to track down Uncle Ben's killer, and then the movie can move on. But in Amazing, Peter searches for 13 minutes, and he never actually finds him. I mean, did you ever notice that? Peter never finds Uncle Ben's killer in this movie. Because after 13 minutes, he gets distracted by the movie's actual story, facing off against the cops, tracking down the lizard, and building a relationship with Gwen. It's like this whole Uncle Ben storyline is a side quest that goes nowhere, and it literally belonged in another movie. So, here's my one small fix that would have saved this film. Uncle Ben lives. Let's see what it's like having Uncle Ben around, with Peter as this angsty, rebellious teen. We, the audience, expect Uncle Ben to die. It's like when a movie introduces Pa Kent or Bucky, the Stacy family, the Osborns. These characters are going to die, sure as Eurydice falls back into the underworld. That's just how the Spider-Man story is supposed to go. So what if it didn't? The comic book What If number 46 explores this idea. Aunt May is killed instead of Uncle Ben, which causes several changes to Peter's life. The Parkers don't have money trouble. Ben figures out Peter's secret identity, and Peter begins to resent his uncle controlling his life. This is an angrier Peter Parker, less altruistic, more like the character that Andrew Garfield played. So what if Uncle Ben had been shot? We think we know where this is going, but then he recovers. Now we have a version of Peter Parker that is all power and no responsibility. And he has this chip on his shoulder about his missing parents. Peter would use his powers to make Spider-Man internet famous, the ultimate super influencer, and he would earn crazy money. He's never home, he's out late, his aunt and uncle think he's dealing drugs, he's partying all the time at clubs, basically living the life of a teen pop star. He only fights crime and tracks down the lizard to get more subscribers. Which reminds me, if you're digging this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment, all hail the algorithm. All hail! And this whole Spidey celebrity story was actually told in his first appearance, Amazing Fantasy number 15. So this is mostly taken from the comics. Spider-Man was a TV star for a good while before turning into a crime fighter, but we've never seen that in a movie. Now this would be an untold story. The cops chase Spider-Man in this movie, but what if Peter Parker is an actual jerk who deserves to be locked up? And he encourages the police to come after him because his chase videos get way more likes and retweets or meow meow beans. Whatever the thing is that we're all supposed to want now. Now Peter would still tell Gwen that he's Spider-Man, but only to impress her. However, she would be a strong moral compass for him, telling him to use these powers to help people. All through the movie, she has a strong moral compass. She and Peter both defended this kid from Flash Thompson earlier in the film.
Put him down, Eugene!
Flash, how about we go to class? How about it?
And like I said, she insists on staying at Oscorp to evacuate the employees. So without Uncle Ben's murder, the movie can move on to tell its actual story. Peter and Gwen building a relationship and searching for the answer to his parents' past through his relationship with Curt Connors. And then all through the movie, we're going to be wondering, well, when's Uncle Ben going to die? Or is Aunt May going to die? Who the heck is going to teach this kid some power and responsibility? Well, the answer is Captain George Stacy. The dinner scene is one of the best scenes in this movie, where they each lay out their opposing ideologies on the superhero life.
He's an amateur who's assaulting civilians in the dead of night. He's clumsy, he leaves clues, but he's still dangerous.
I think most people would say that he was providing a public service.
So, Captain Stacy can drop the power and responsibility line during this conversation. Alright, so, Captain George Stacy is the new Uncle Ben figure, but he doesn't die until the end of the movie. And instead of telling Peter to ghost Gwen,
leave Gwen out of it. Promise me that.
He tells him to look out for her. But then, just like in the comics, Gwen resents Peter and Spider-Man for allowing her father to die. So we still get that bittersweet ending where Peter doesn't get everything he wants. We've just seen Peter act like a grandstanding jerk for 2 hours. So now we're excited for the next film, where he'll grow into the role of a selfless hero. The public will hate him for being an annoying social media celebrity, and he'll have to work to earn their trust. That's setting up a franchise that truly tells an untold story, and that's the Amazing Spider-Man series we deserved. Not this.
Don't you know I'm Electro?
The hell is this?
I'm Electro.
Well guys, what do you think of my small change? Let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.